Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Shruti Smruti Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Upadishyacha Grahayed Brahmano Lakshanam Ya Atma Pahata Papma Yat Sakshad Parokshad Brahma. I am not sure whether you have noticed the tremendous implication of that sentence. What Bhashyakara is saying is, Brahmano Lakshanam Grahayat. You have to teach the defining characteristic. Not so much defining, the indicating characteristic of Brahman. As what? Atma apahata papma. Therefore, the Shruti has to show us what is Brahman, or where is Brahman, how is Brahman. That is what Shruti has to show us, and it goes about it with all love, and it says, look within, search within, go within. And then, you see, first things first. You cannot go outside and discover Brahman. That is the path taken by the scientists for their own reason. Because they have a thing called a scientific method. That is what they follow. And for that they go out. They are outgoing method. Whereas Vedanta is Adhyatma Vidya. Here all search is within only. And so you go within. So when you go within, you encounter the Karta Bhokta, called the persona. You are aware of that person. That person, that egoity, it appears as the ego, it appears as the subject. It is not the subject, it is not the real subject. It is masquerading as the subject. It is really object, because it is known to you. The ego is known to you. I heard somebody saying, at one time I was very egoic, now I am not so. The ego is always known to you. That is the point. The ego, so at one time you are egoic. Later when you grow, the ego becomes weak. Or it can grow stronger also. And when it grows weak or it grows strong, it is known to you. Therefore, ego is not the subject. It is a camouflaging as the subject. It is always the object. The real subject is the witnessing awareness. And all punya papa are limited to the ego. They are in the karta bhokta ego. They are not in the witnessing awareness. Therefore, you dismiss this karta bhokta ego and abide as the pure awareful being. That is Brahman. Ya Atma Pahata Papma. Then you may want to say, I cannot believe it. That is what the mind is saying. The mind protests because the mind has a conditioning that Brahman cannot be that simple. Brahman cannot be that near. Brahman cannot be, it is a kind of an anticlimax, you know. Brahman cannot be that myself. It must be the other. That kind of a conditioning prevents you from saying the truth. So you have to work on that conditioning. You are the Brahman. Ya Atma Apahata Papma. The Atma, the innermost self, which is free from the Punya Papa, meaning free from the doership, enjoyership, that innermost self is the Brahman. And that is the implication. Now, therefore, so now it is up to you whether you pursue Ya Atma Apahata Papma. Yat Sakshad Parokshad Brahma is also the same. Yat Sakshad Parokshad Chaitanyam Tadeva Brahma. And so if you want to pursue that, or you want to go around and search in search of God, here this God, there that God, it is up to you. Generally people do both. They are very clever and cunning. They play to the gallery, they go along with both. Because suppose I take this as Brahman, then I may lose out something in the outer. Therefore, take this as Brahman and pursue the outer also. Out of insecurity. That is how the mind tricks the people. That's why it only proves the point that they don't have the entire being behind the pursuit. They pursue it in a very half-hearted way. And they contradict themselves all the time. In Vedanta class, they are one. Their thought process is one. The moment they step out of the Vedanta class, their thought process is totally opposite. That's why they remain where they are. They don't move at all. In the childhood, one elderly person wanted to trick me. I was studying in some Gurukulam, some Veda and all that. These Veda people, they are jadas. Veda jada means they are very dull and they don't know anything about the world. He called me, "Hey Pantul, come here." So I went. "I will ask you a question, okay?" So there was a frog in a well and it wants to come out of the well. And it jumps 2 feet. Every time it jumps 2 feet, it falls back 2.5 feet. In how many jumps it will come out of the well? I was furiously calculating how many jumps it will take. Calculating and calculating, could not find. Then that person told me, "You go and ask your father." So in my innocence or ignorance, or both probably, so I went to my father and asked this question. He asked me, "You tell again, is that what he told?" "Yes." Yeah, he is tricking you. The frog will never come out of the well. I said. Therefore, when people contradict themselves all the time, they remain where they are. You make progress and then you undo the progress by contradiction. Therefore, they don't move any forward. And in the meanwhile, age catches up. And age brings many problems. Especially when the mind is not pure. When the mind is filled with all kinds of silly emotions, like attachment, etc., and insecurities and anxieties, the age becomes a huge problem. When the mind is healed and it becomes pure, then the age doesn't pose any serious problem. Some silly issue will be there, you can address it easily. Astu. So, yaha ashanaya pipase. This is another very similar thing. When you go within, you start looking within, you encounter the hunger and thirst. You encounter the body, you go within, you encounter the hunger and thirst. That is the pranamaya. And then you are likely to make a mistake that hunger and thirst define you. They don't define you. The body, as it is animated by life, is hungry, becomes hungry and thirsty. It is all the movement of life and the physical body, the organic body, and the life expressing through the body. That is the movement. In that moment, when the water content of the body comes down due to dehydration, thirst happens. And you drink water, so put some more water into the system, the thirst cools down. So thirst is a sign of body getting less water, having less water. It needs some more water. Because body is like mostly water. 2/3 of the earth is water, 2/3 of the globe is water, 2/3 of the body is water. Very uncanny parallelism or similarity, very uncanny, very interesting. 2/3 of the earth is water, 2/3 of the body is water. 1/3 of the earth is land, 1/3 of the body is the physical mass, the bones, the flesh, etc. Therefore, 2/3 water is there, 67% water is there. It is like a water bag. In the olden days, they used to have water bottles or water bags made of leather. That is what the body is. It's a leather bag filled with water. And when the water content goes, because water is evaporating, it always evaporates. And therefore it falls down, and then thirst comes. You put in water, it keeps quiet. Food is also like that. Body, the food is always getting digested. Digested means it is getting converted into energy. And the energy is being consumed because the blood has to circulate, heart has to pump. Even if you don't move from your seat, you will expend around 1,000 calories per day, energy. And when you move around, another 1,000 calories, or even 500 calories, or whatever. Maybe my figures are not very accurate. You may have to go by plus minus 10 percentage points. So, therefore, when the body needs more energy, and there is no more food to derive energy from in the tummy, then it wants more food. That is the hunger. So that is all the movement of life and the physical body. It is not you. That is what the Rishi says. Whereas we people, we behave as if we are a pair of legs carrying a tummy around. That is how we behave. You have to rise above the body. And you should not make eating an important aspect of life. In the home, the kitchen should not occupy such an important place in the structure of a home. And also in your mind, kitchen should not occupy such an important place. The reading room should occupy more important place. Our people give most importance to the kitchen and the bedroom and put God in a small corner so that God won't complain and God won't play spoil sport. And then they engage in all kinds of worldly life and become sick. That is the problem. This is all the issue of identification. Therefore, you have to rise above Ashanaya and Pipasa. Ashanaya cha, Pipasa cha, Dvandva samasa. Ashanaya, Pipase, Dvivachanam. So those two you rise above. They don't define your real self. Sukha dukkha, the pleasure-pain cycle, that is, it will be there in the life. People get concerned what something will happen. That is the anxiety. That question is always there, the fear, anxiety question. I said a few things, but again I say, so they complain or they are concerned, worried, what will happen? What will happen? Something will happen. Either sukha will happen or dukkha will happen. Not a third thing. Either sukha or dukkha. There is a cycle of sukha dukkha going on. That cycle is always going on. There is a law, Vedantic law. If that law comes, if you could get hold of that law, the anxiety about life is gone. The law is an illiterate old woman living in a hut versus a very sophisticated queen living in a palace. The contrast is very big contrast. Both have very similar pleasure-pain cycle. Can you believe it? Even while saying, I feel stumped, I tell you. They have the same pleasure-pain cycle. Then why are we struggling in life? What for we are struggling? So, a billionaire and a rickshaw puller have the same pleasure-pain cycle. A billionaire is happy when he gets a few millions and unhappy when he loses a few millions. That is his pleasure-pain cycle. A rickshaw puller gets a customer and makes some 10 extra bucks, he is happy. He doesn't get a customer, he is unhappy. That is his pleasure-pain cycle. It is both one and the same. There is no difference between the two. The pleasure or the pain, causes may be many, but pleasure and pain are same. Once you know this, then why are you anxious for? What for are you anxious? Something will happen. Anyway it will happen, you cannot stop it. What will happen to my son? Something will happen. To my daughter, something will happen. To the body, something will happen. You cannot change it, or you cannot stop it. Or you believe you can change it. Maybe you can change it, but you need not change it. Why to change? The pleasure-pain cycle is same. You cannot change it. It is always 50-50. It is not going to change. Changing is against the law of nature. Therefore, why are you concerned? Allow the things to happen as they happen. All concern is gone. This is how you go beyond the sukha-dukkha, the pleasure-pain cycle. The personality that is built around pleasure-pain cycle. You cross that obstacle and then go to karta-bhokta. Cross that and arrive at the impersonal. Now the person is over. The person is over. The person ends with the karta-bhokta. There is no more person. The person is over. And now you enter into the impersonal dimension of yourself. Your own dimension, which is not a person. And in that impersonal dimension, you are the pure awareness, witnessing all that is below, all that is there, the ego, the intellect, the mind, the life, the body, all on the world. You are the witness. And in that witnessing awareness, you are on the top. You are the Brahman. All that we have seen. I added Ashanaya Pipase. Neti neti asthula mananu sa esha neti neti. So athata adeshaha neti neti. Sa esha neti neti. There are two vakyas of same meaning, but from different Upanishads. Athata adesho neti neti is coming from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Sa esha neti neti, he has given some reference, it must be from Brihadaranyaka. So, you see here, this is the philosophy of negation. It is negation, not rejection. Once I went to a place, somewhere in Florida I was there, and some of the students of Francis, there is a Francis, he is a philosopher, his name is Francis, some of you must have heard. He comes under our Neo-Vedanta category. Yesterday I was discussing, he is a good teacher, he is somewhere in Colorado or somewhere, and he has followers, he teaches Vedanta, and people go to him and learn. He too travels here and there. I never had the good fortune of meeting him. But some of the Francis students, they attended the satsang. They asked me a question. Whether they were not sure, therefore they were asking. I thought so. That was how it looked to me. Sometimes they may try to put a trap for me also, but that was not the case. They asked me a question. Sir, you say I am not the body. Yeah, we say that. Therefore, now you have rejected the body, and whatever you have rejected will come back and get you. This is the question. So, you think you have disidentified with the body and move forward, but the body will come back and get you. The body will die, and therefore in that sense it will get you, the death will get you. The body's death will get you. The body becomes sick. Therefore, that sick body will get you. So, that is the question. I said, you got it wrong. How? I am not talking of rejection. I am talking of negation. Rejection is you dismiss the real. Negation is you dismiss the unreal. Therefore, the body is non-self, but it is not real. Body is not real. Body, Bhagavan Buddha described body as a wave. Wave is not real. Water is real. Wave is not real. Waves are created and gone. Water remains the same. Wave is not real. You must be knowing, wave doesn't even move. It only appears to move. Wave doesn't move. If you put a cork on the wave, the cork will remain where you put it. But it looks as if the wave is coming towards you. It is a huge trick played by the eyesight and the mind together upon you. It's an illusion. Wave doesn't move. Wave will be there only. The cork, if you put, it will be like that only. But what you see is, that is what you see. But what you find by experiment is that. It doesn't move. The way you see it, it doesn't move. You see a horizontal movement, you don't, that is not there. Only vertical movement. Vertical movement is not the point. The movement that you see is not there. Therefore, wave is an appearance. Water is real. Wave is an appearance. It is like serpent is an appearance. When I say serpent is appearance, rope is real, you are willing to accept readily. But when I say pot is appearance, clay is real, in all likelihood you won't accept it. You will come after me. What are you talking? That is your weakness of mind, that you are unable to call the false as the false. It is unfortunate that you are able to understand Rajju Sarpa but fail to understand the vision of the Shruti when it comes to pot and clay. I suggest you read Bhashya and a few treatises upon that. Now, that is a big topic, I don't want to get diverted into it. Therefore, body is a wave. There is no body. There are only 5 elements. Look at this. Up to the loins, it is Pruthivi. The abdomen or the bladder is Apaha. And the tummy is fire, Agni. Chest is Vayuhu. And throat and above is Akasha. That is what body is. The conglomerate of the 5 elements. That is what the body is. That is the meditation also. Tomorrow morning we will do that meditation. Panchabhuta Dharana. Therefore, you call it body. There is no body. There is only a conglomerate of 5 elements. That you call body. Therefore, what I am negating, what I am dismissing is not real. I am dismissing the unreal serpent. I am not dismissing the real serpent. Suppose there is a serpent, I see a serpent and I dismiss it, it will get me. But I see a rope, but mistake it for a serpent. Then I put light on and dismiss the serpent. How do I dismiss? Nayam sarpaha. That is how I dismiss. Therefore, while dismissing an unreal serpent or a mistaken serpent, there is no question of that getting me. Therefore, this is the answer I gave. They were satisfied. I hope you are also satisfied. See, you have to know the self. How to know the self? You are not going to know the self. How can you know the self? Because the self is yourself. Suppose you know the self, then the self becomes the other. That becomes a contradiction. Self is not the other. Self is yourself. Can you be the other? Can you be other than yourself? No, except in imagination. Therefore, you cannot be other than yourself. Therefore, the question of knowing the self doesn't arise. But it is enough to know what you are not. For example, body, you are not the body. You are not the body. You are dismissing the body. We'll see. It will come. You attend my classes for 1 more year, I will be saying the same thing. The topic doesn't change. Did you notice it? I am not tired. The topic doesn't change. For me it looks fresh. I hope it is the same with you. So, it is enough to you are not going to know yourself. Can you sit on your shoulders? Then you can know yourself. This is called karma kartru virodha. If you know yourself, you become the other. That is a contradiction. But it is enough to know what you are not. For example, you are not the body. Don't pull that sentence this way, that way. Just take it the way I said. You are not the body. What Shankara said, Mano buddhyahankara chittani naham nacha shrotra jifve. I like that. In another place he said, Nacha bhuta sangha pratasmarana. Therefore, that is what you say. I am not the body. Then, okay, I am not the body. Then go on talking about the body. No, not like that. You have dismissed the body. You need some reason to dismiss it as the non-self. That reason is bhuta sangha. What you call body, you see, I tell you, what you call body is an idea in the mind. Because, shall I tell you how you get this body conception? You see, there is the sense of touch. Because you feel the body even when you close the eyes. Therefore, don't bother about the eyes. Take the sense of touch. The sense of touch is all through the body. And therefore, the sensations are flowing all the time. The sense of touch sensations. They are integrated, the millions of those sensations from all over the body, they are integrated in the body, in the mind, and they give you an idea called body. That's why body is an idea in the mind. That's why you have a body only when you think of the body. When you do not think of the body, there is no body. For example, a soldier in the battlefield does not think of the body. Therefore, he has no body. A football player, the soccer player, European soccer players, even the American national football player, the American football is the most brutal game. You see how to play like the gladiators of the Roman age. They play like that. Even this European football, stretchers, doctors, nurses, and hospitals are very close by. Ambulances, medicines, morphia, injections, everything they keep there ready. The person falls, they come with a stretcher and transfer him to the stretcher and take to the hospital. That is how it is like army is moving and the medical corps is coming from behind. That is how they play the football. And the football players, they don't have body consciousness. If they have body consciousness, they cannot score a goal. They only have goal consciousness, not body consciousness. They don't have a body. They only have a leg, whether it is right leg or left leg. It depends upon the person's habit. And a kick, a ball and a goal. That is all they have. Therefore, they are beyond the threshold of body consciousness. A Vedantin is like that. A Vedantin says, Nacha bhuta sanghaha neti neti. Iti means body, not the body, neti. Iti means body. Every non-self is indicated by iti. Neti neti, it is called vipsa. It is not negation twice. It is a negation any number of times. That is called vipsa. So neti neti means neti, 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 neti. That is the meaning of neti neti. So there in that statement, iti, na is negation. Iti is the non-self. You are not this. Iti is this or thus. So you are not the body. Nacha bhuta sanghaha. You are not the life. Ashanaya pipase na. You are not the sense organs. You are not the organs of action. By knowing that you are not the body, you know what happens? You live beyond the threshold of body consciousness. You should. In fact, the students of Vedanta should settle this body identification issue very early in their life of pursuit, in their life of sadhana, so that they reach the Brahmanhood most certainly in this life. But what they do, they identify with the body. That is the biggest misfortune in Vedanta. One Mahatma used to be there, Swami Omkar, very great Mahatma. He used to say, he used to address the audience, he used to say, even as you sit now and here, if you identify with the body, take yourself to be the body, then all your religious practices, pilgrimages, worships, rituals are of no avail. As you sit here and now, if you disidentify with the body, then you need not perform any rituals, you have done what all needs to be done. Something like that he used to say. Therefore, even I try to convince people out of love for the people, that is the labor of love, try to convince. Otherwise, why should anybody convince you, dear sir, please accept you are not the body, coax and cajole, why should anybody do that? Like for the child, come on, eat a little more, just one more morsel of food, put it in, open the mouth, take it down. Please, dear child, like that you have to teach Vedanta. And they say, why I am not the body? If I am not the body, then what is body? If I should not desire, then what is wrong with desires? This is how they counter. The whole blessed thing comes back at you. So, that only proves the lack of earnestness and the wrong conditioning. Therefore, when you realize that you are not the body and learn to live beyond the threshold of the body, then how? How to live beyond the threshold of the... There is no how, just do it. Don't contradict yourself. Sit in this class and say, I am not the body, and walk out and start decorating the body and worshipping the body or whatever. Don't contradict yourself. You perseveringly pursue the truth and live by the truth. So, once you do that, you go beyond the threshold of body consciousness, then the body will live its life. The body, what happens, happens. You cannot stop it. And then the body will have its own dynamic. It lives by the laws of nature. There will be no overeating. There is overeating because you are obsessed with the body. And the body remains mostly healthy because you are not obsessed with the body anymore. It is our obsession with the body, our obsession, our anxiety about the welfare of the body that makes the body sick. And therefore, neti neti, the most practical philosophy it is not some armchair philosophy. You should know what all you are not. You need not know what you are. You should know this. You need not know what you are. You know why? Because you are already what you are. You need not become yourself. You are already what you are. You see, we talk of knowledge. What is knowledge? Knowledge, I was talking about it in the meditation also. Knowledge is a description in terms of the known. Right? And known mane, how do you know? Perception. So perceptual. Or sometimes conceptual. Inference. Conceptual. Therefore, as long as knowledge means description in terms of the known, perceptual or conceptual, so long there is nothing called self-knowledge. You got the statement which I made? Therefore, so you are talking of knowledge, and that knowledge is a description of the known being either perceptual or conceptual. If that is the knowledge, there is nothing like self-knowledge. That knowledge cannot envelop self. There is nothing like self-knowledge, because you cannot describe the self either conceptually or perceptually, because the self is beyond the perception and conception. You cannot describe the self. Therefore, there is nothing like self-knowledge. Unless you say the total negation is self-knowledge, then there is self-knowledge. So, esha neti neti. All you can say about self is, I am not this, I am not that. You see, I tell you, this is what I am, you say. This is what I am. Could you see the tremendous contradiction in that thinking? Because this means something that is known to you as this. Gotram. This becomes a Gotra attack. Okay, leave alone Gotra. It applies to Gotra also because Atma is a Gotram. You must have heard that. So, suppose caste. Caste, this caste I am, you say. The caste which is known to you as this, how can you be you? Once it is known to you as this or that, then it becomes the other. And you cannot be the other. You can only be the one who knows the other. Therefore, the fact that you know the caste precludes the possibility of caste belonging to you or you belonging to that caste. Creed, race, anything which is known to you as this or that, you cannot be. You cannot meaningfully say, this is what I am. You cannot say that. Or can you say? You cannot say that meaningfully. Because the moment you said this or that, it has become the other. Therefore, this is what I am. You cannot say. If you say it, it becomes wrong. You can only say, I am not this, I am not that. Therefore, whatever you can point out as this or that cannot be you. So, surely you cannot be something else. There are someone else. You cannot be. You can only be yourself. So you are nothing perceivable. You are nothing conceivable. You are nothing imaginable. Therefore, all perceivables you have to negate. All conceptions you negate. All imaginations about yourself you negate. The interesting thing is, without you there is no perception. No conception, no imagination. But what is perceived or conceived or imagined, you are not. Therefore, you see, you see the body acting. Therefore, you perceive the body acting. Therefore, you are not the body. And you are not the actions. You are not the actor. You perceive or you see the mind thinking. Therefore, you are not the mind. You are not the thoughts. You are not the objects of the thoughts. Therefore, the very act of perceiving, the very act of conceiving shows that what you perceive, you are not. What you conceive, you are not. Therefore, what you have to do is, whatever you call knowledge, in terms of perception or conception, that is the known. This knowledge cannot reach the Atman. Draw that limitation. You have to draw the limitation. Without drawing the limitation, you are misled. How you will be misled? There is a thing called knowledge, which is the accumulation of the known. That knowledge will take you to the truth of the self. That is how you get caught in the accumulation called knowledge. You see, this is a tremendous philosophy, and people also should be prepared or ready to take it. You see, people have the habit of accumulation. They accumulate. This is the spirit of acquisitiveness. And the companies, the multinational companies, etc., these corporate people, they want you to acquire. Because, there is a psychology in it. There is manufacturing, marketing and consumption. That completes the cycle. This is somewhat some MBA kind of thinking. So, manufacturing is conquered by human beings, because thanks to industrial revolution, you have created the machines which manufacture the things uniformly without any errors in large numbers. In our childhood, they used to operate the loom mechanically, physically, and the person will make one dhoti in a week. That is one person's output, one dhoti in 1 week. Whereas in a month he makes 4. And all the 4 will have minor variations, sometimes major variations also. The quality will change, the length, width, etc. are not exact. The quality of the yarn also varies, all that. Because it is human hand, Whereas you do the same thing with a machine, the quality will be uniform, and it will make 100 dhotis per day, 100 or even more, let us say 100. And all of them will have uniformly good quality. And so this is how the manufacturing is conquered. Now they manufacture in such huge quantities that accumulating, the manufacturing is not an issue anymore. So, like in Atlanta, the Coca-Cola plant, it makes 1 million cans per hour. And they operate 24 hours. Mechanically, computer-operated machinery. There will be no people around. People will be sitting in the control room, 10 of them. And the machinery will be working. And 1 million cans are produced per hour. Then marketing. You have to carry these cans, the 1 million cans, to different outlets, Therefore, transportation and outlets, wholesale outlets and the retail outlets, that is also conquered. Because the roads are there, infrastructure is there, big trucks are there, drivers are there. Now we are going to have soon driverless trucks. Self-driven trucks are coming. It is very much doable when the infrastructure is of that nature. In Germany, in America, in Canada, these things are very doable things. Already the technology is there. And so only the legal issues have to be settled. Therefore it is getting delayed. The technology is in place already. Technology marches ahead of the people. People come from behind. Technology marches ahead. So marketing is conquered. Only weak link is the consumer. The consumer has to consume it. And the consumer is lagging behind. And therefore, they target the consumer. They spend $1 billion on manufacture, $1 billion, $1 billion on marketing, and $5 billion on the consumer to change the mind of the consumer. The consumer should be so well conditioned that thirst means Coke. It should become like that. Thirst means Coke. That is how the nations become obese. In Mexico, when they raised the tax on soda by 25%, the national obesity has reduced by 25%. So people, I went all over the place. But I have a point there. The point is, the corporate people want us to accumulate. So accumulate soda bottles, accumulate shirts. Sannyasis accumulate kambals, dhotis, shirts and all these head covers, topis, kamandalus, they accumulate. Everybody accumulates. And then accumulate all kinds of physical things. This is called parigraha. And this parigraha was frowned upon. It is not good to accumulate. Patanjali discourages it. He has put aparigraha, non-accumulation, as a yama, a personal restraint. So instead of, if you have to purchase a Coke, purchase one, don't purchase 10. If you have to purchase sweet, purchase one, not 5, and eat all of them. So this is the aparigraha, physical level. Now the point I am trying to make is a bit far-fetched it sounds, but please listen to it with an open mind, because I have prepared the ground, now I cannot hold back. So there is a tendency, this accumulation, it is there with us as we live, continue to live, we accumulate. All kinds of things we accumulate. There are some people accumulate shoes, bathroom shoes, kitchen shoes, bedroom shoes, drawing room shoes, night shoes, day shoes, party shoes, market shoes, walking shoes. Like that they will have 20 pairs. They accumulate. Sometimes you don't accumulate them, they get accumulated themselves. And so you have that habit of accumulating. And then you accumulate guilt. I made that mistake, I made that mistake, I made that mistake. So from childhood to 10th, age of 10 till today, what all guilts you have, wrong things you have made, you accumulate them and keep them alive. And you accumulate hurt. He insulted me when I was 11, that person insulted me when I was 12. And when I was 13, he misbehaved with me. When I was 14, she has snatched away something from me. When I was 15, she did not respond to me when I made a gesture. Something or the other. Accumulate. All emotions are accumulated. Peoples are bundles of emotions. Give up the emotions, appa. You give up? No. They are accumulated. And then finally, our Vedanta people, they accumulate scriptures. Here. They accumulate scriptures everywhere. One almirah is filled, so put a second almirah. That is filled, put a third, that is filled. And then some people accumulate only in almirahs. Here they accumulate nothing. They remain only in the almirahs. But some people accumulate here also. This is also an almirah, cabinet. A lot of things can sit here. It has such a tremendous capacity. Therefore, starting with Tattva till Chatusutri, they don't go to 5th Sutra. Very clever again. Up to that, go on accumulating, go on accumulating, go on accumulating. And so, at the end of the day, you become a scholar because of all this accumulation, highly respected in the society. And students flock towards you. They come to you. And you have name and fame, also wealth, and the social status, this, that. But you are still identified with the physical body. Therefore, now what happened? Knowledge. Knowledge, which is the accumulation of the known in terms of perceptual and conceptual. All the scriptural knowledge is conceptual. That knowledge becomes an enormous hindrance. And you should be able to say no to this knowledge. Can you say? I am not suggesting become amnesia, get amnesia. That is not what I am suggesting. Can you draw the line? Shabdajalam maharanyam chitta brahmana karanam. Shankara draws a line. First things first. Begin with the body and work on it. Negate the body. Then work on the prana and manaha, emotions. And then kartrutvam, and then bhoktrutvam. You work on these things. You need not be a great scholar to negate these things. That is the secret of a Ramana Maharshi or a Nisargadatta Maharaj. Nisargadatta Maharaj never considers himself as a doer. Never. Even in the wildest of dreams, the sense of doership cannot come anywhere near him. That's why he is Nisargadatta Maharaj. Therefore, neti neti. Negative understanding is the highest understanding. You need courage to say that. Otherwise, because people say this is Swami TV is a negative guy. That is what they will say. Because they don't know what is the negative understanding that I am talking about. It is too big. So, you see, Atma, the self, can be described only by negation. You cannot describe it in any other way. You show me one description which is not negation. One description you show me. So, like, it is not caused, uncaused. It has no birth. Birth means it is caused. It is uncaused, independent, unrelated. Atma is not related. Atma is not father, brother, sister, none of those things. Atma is not any one of them. You are imagining. And you believe your imagination. That is the problem. It is the mystery of the mind that it believes in its imaginations. It creates and believes in its own creation. And I put it in place with my thought. The mind forgets that. And the mind, it believes in its own creation. If it sees, oh, this is, I have put it there in place, this is what I have imagined. If the mind can know that, then the mind will know its falsity also. But the mind imagines and believes in its own imaginations and believes in its own creation. That is the problem with the mind. And therefore, you believe that you are the father. You believe that you are the mother. You forget that you are not related. You are unrelated. And then you are undivided. You believe that Atma is divided. You are undivided. You are uncomposed. The body is the composed, is the composite. You are uncomposed. You are unshakable. The body can be shaken. The mind can be shaken by events. The intellect can be shaken by age. The ego can be shattered by a calamity. But Atma is unshakable, unassailable. And then you cannot reach the self by effort. It cannot be reached by effort. So, in this way, you can only describe Atma in terms of negation. Suppose you try to describe Atma in a positive sense. Then what happens? Every description, positive description, comes from memory. And therefore, doesn't apply to Atma. Because whatever comes from the memory is the known, is the past. And hence it is not the Atma. And you see, by what I said, it looks as if Atma is something beyond reach, something very enigmatic, very nebulous, fog-like, therefore unreachable. Wrong. It is most supremely reachable. You can access it here and now. It is possible. It is realizable. It is attainable now and here. Because it is the only real thing in this entire creation. And you can describe it only in negative terms. That's why there is a small anecdote from the Shruti. All the words have assembled at a place. These words, they have assembled together and then passed a resolution. We will reach the Atman. Then one elderly word suggested, it will be better we take the help of mind also with us. So let us invite the mind also. So they invited the mind. Oh mind, we are trying to reach the Atman. Would you care to join us? The mind said, yes. I am sure I can reach. Without you I could not reach, but with you I can reach. And then the words together with the mind, they jumped up to reach the Atman. And unable to reach the Atman, they fell back. That is the story. So yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. Therefore, you see, what happens is, the beauty of negation is, by knowing what you are not, you become free of that. And then you remain in your natural state. By taking yourself to be the body, you have lost your natural state. And therefore, you become anxious about life and about death and about health and about disease. You become anxious. And when you know that you are not the body, that doesn't hurt the body. On the other hand, it will help the body. Body becomes, it gets its natural state, because your anxiety about the body hurts the body. And then it is like sometimes the boy or the girl are studying in the school. You go after them, study more, study more, study more, get more marks, get more marks, get more marks. The student may fail even. Leave the student alone. Give freedom. Give support, but freedom. Give, the student wants books, give money. Get the books and give books. Give notes, give pen. And support in every possible way. But remain at a distance. The student will do well. Similarly, you give what all needed to the body. Body needs quite a very few things. It needs to be kept clean. Hygiene it needs. Food it needs. When it becomes sick occasionally, it needs medicine. That is all it needs. It doesn't need your obsessive identification. So, when you say, I am not the body, nacha bhuta sanghaha, when you say that, you become free of the body. And then, by becoming free of this non-self, mix up with the non-self, you remain in your natural state. And you see, it is enough that you don't identify with the non-self. It is enough that you negate every single identification and thereby remain in your natural state. Because it is the identification that pulls you away from the natural state and puts you in an unnatural position. By negation, you remain in your natural state. That is the only description I can give you. I cannot describe anything more than that. And when you remain in the natural state, you are free. That is freedom, that is moksha. You see, you have a notion that Atmajnanam means something will happen to you. Some exotic thing will happen, some esoteric thing will happen. And then Atma starts jiggle shining. So something will happen to you. You will become some body. This kind of a notion that you must be something or the other. You must be somebody or the other. This notion, this idea of becoming, self-knowledge, with the self-knowledge you will become something superior. This idea of becoming, and this idea of becoming something or the other, some exotic thing, this will bind you. And now you are waiting to become something exotic, superior. And you have put a few scriptures into the head and you are waiting to become. The eureka moment has to happen. You are waiting. You are waiting before the painted door. No surprise, nothing happens. We rot and then get frustrated. Therefore, knowledge as the known, as the perceivable and conceivable is not going to liberate you. If you don't use it properly, it can even become a hindrance. You should be able to say no, even to the accumulated knowledge. So that see it as a hindrance and then say no to it. Then you remain in the natural state. That is how you are liberated. So, you can know only the false. You can never know the truth. No, we know the world. Yeah, you know it because it is false. You know the body. Yeah, because it is false, you are able to know it. You know only the false. You will never know the truth. Truth you can only be. You be the truth.